Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Fantasy Football RPG Podcast. I'm your host, David, and today we are going to be talking about Omarion Hampton, one of the most exciting rookies in the league. And in Dynasty, you're not really worried about him. You know exactly what you're getting. Redraft, it's a bit of a different story. Selected in the first round of the 2024 NFL Draft, Hampton came out of UNC with one of the better running back profiles we've ever seen. I could spit numbers at you all day, but basically he checks off every box you like to see in a prospect. He's a junior, early declare, always a great thing. His film speaks for itself. He's a downhill runner, can blow through guys, has the acceleration to make big plays. And as a receiver, no one's confusing him with prime Alvin Kamara, but he can go outside, he can go on screens, make some plays. Basically, he has the skill set to be a true three-down running back. He has the first-round draft capital that tells you, hey, the Chargers see him this way too. And you couldn't ask for a much better landing spot behind a great offensive line with a run-obsessed head coach in Jim Harbaugh and a good quarterback in Justin Herbert, probably going to be high-scoring for years to come. So in Dynasty, to me, that's the formula for the 102 in rookie drafts. In redraft, it's a bit more complicated than that. Prior to the draft, the Chargers signed Najee Harris to be their short-term starter. It's a one-year deal, so like I said, Dynasty, you're not worried about it at all. But it is going to be a problem in 2025 if you're looking for just next year's production. Now, we all know Najee isn't quite as good as his first-round draft capital would be, but I think the over-expectations from when he was drafted has kind of negatively impacted his reputation. At the end of the day, he's not a superstar, but he's still a starting caliber running back. 4 years in the league, he's never missed a game. He's had at least 255 carries in each season. He's a four-time 1,000-yard rusher. Does he have the same burst that Hampton does? No. Defensive backs can catch up to him, but he's great at following his blocks. He's great at just lowering his shoulder, running head first, knocking some guys over, breaking some tackles. That is Jim Harbaugh's style of football. There's a reason he signed him, and even though he's not the long-term answer, he's going to be in the picture in the short term, which is always disappointing. If you want a historical comp, think back to 2021, Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams. Everybody wanted Javonte to be the guy, but Melvin Gordon just refused to go away. Are we going to have that situation again in 2025 with the Chargers? Well, let's take a look at some historical evidence. Jim Harbaugh spent most of his coaching career at the college ranks, but he did have a stint with the San Francisco 49ers. So let's look at that, see if there's anything we can pull. Unfortunately, there really isn't. The closest situation to this is when they drafted Michael James in the second round to compete with Frank Gore. Now, Gore won that easily, but that's largely because, one, James just didn't work out at the NFL level. He was a bust. And two, Najee Harris is not as good as Frank Gore, so this isn't the best comparison. Now, since we know there isn't a one-to-one, we're going to have to sort of get in the head of what would you do if you were the Chargers. Last year, they made the wild card in what should have been a rebuilding year. Remember, they traded Keenan Allen, they cut Mike Williams, did a bunch of contract stuff to basically say, hey, this year might be a little bit rough, but we're going to set a foundation for future success. Now, they just spent the offseason bolstering the offensive line, building up the trenches, adding a few guys on defense. They should have their eyes on the Super Bowl. So if I'm coaching for a team that I think is going to win a title, I'm going to want the ball, at least at the start of the season, to go to the veteran who I know is going to do the right thing. Maybe he isn't going to hit as many home runs as Hampton, but Najee is going to make the right plays. He's not going to fumble. He's going to follow his blocks. He's going to understand the playbook. So at least in the first month or two of the season, I think this is Najee's backfield, and Hampton is going to be a complimentary player. So what does that mean for redraft? Right now, and this is per Fantasy Calc, Omarion Hampton is the RB10 in redraft, which is kind of ridiculous to me. So for those who don't know how Fantasy Calc works, this isn't Fantasy Calc's rankings like by some analyst. This is aggregate data pulled from thousands and thousands of drafts. So it's saying in redraft right now, if you're in any given league, chances are Hampton's going to be a top 10 running back. If Najee wasn't there, this would be asking a lot. Because, again, it's a rookie who is incredibly talented, but someone you haven't seen in action yet. You don't know how Jim Harbaugh is going to use him. You don't know if he's a fit, and you don't even know if he's going to bust. Frankly, I don't think he will. I would be shocked with that, but we don't know that for sure. With Harris there, I don't see any way that Hampton at RB10 is a wise decision right now. I'd put him more in the 15 to 18 range, one of those guys where when you draft him, hey, maybe nothing's going to come of it soon. But by the back half of the year, I think Hampton has a realistic job of taking the starting job, making Najee a backup, and charging ahead. So what does that mean in terms of drafts? Well, if you're looking at it the way I am, that means you're probably not going to get too much Omarion Hampton this year. And that's an okay thing in redraft leagues. What you're going to want to do, don't reach for him, but just wait for a month or two. If I'm right, that means Hampton owners are probably going to be a little disappointed. Maybe they start looking at that Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams comp from a few years ago, and I know it's different teams, but it's a similar situation, and say, hey, maybe this is the split for the entire year. Because in 2021, Gordon and Javonte Williams finished with essentially the exact same stats. Williams never won the job. So when we look at it from that end, the Hampton owner, reach out to them. Maybe they're getting nervous this is happening again, then trade for him. And I personally think Hampton is a far more talented back. And by the time he gets up to speed, he's going to be the starter for the back half of the year. He can be a real punch for your playoff push. So I would start targeting him probably around week 3, week 4, assuming these projections end up being true. It also means Najee Harris is a pretty good value in redraft leagues, because everyone seems to be assuming Hampton's going to be the week 1 guy. I don't see it playing out like that. You can get Najee very, very late in drafts. He's basically going in the handcuff range. He's a lot more than that. If Hampton gets hurt, he's, a 17-game starter, and it's fantastic. If he doesn't, he's going to be the short-term starter. You'll get a few quality weeks out of him. And again, try to flip him around that week 4, week 5 time frame. See if someone needs a running back. There's never enough to go around. You can probably get a good running back you can probably get a good wide receiver if you trade Harris early in the season. So that's how I'd approach the backfield. And again, this is just redraft. Dynasty, don't overthink it. Omarion Hampton 102 for the future. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, make sure to leave a like down below. Comment, let me know what you think on the situation, and please subscribe to the channel. We're hoping to reach 1,000 followers by the start of the season. We're on pace to do it, and we can't do it without your help. Thanks so much, guys, and have a good one.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Football RPG Podcast. If you made it this far, be sure to like and subscribe. If you want to check out written content, head over to lastwordonsports.com.
Don't let the goblins get you.